What up, all my fight fans? So, there's a lot of drama, capital D, in the UFC world between Dana White and Francis Ngannou. I'm sure you guys been hearing about it. Everyone's been talking about it between Dana White and Francis, where the fact that Dana White has already said that Francis Ngannou is not a good guy, that he is not somebody that does good business with. I mean, there's just so much stuff that he has been talking about and saying to the media about Francis Ngannou. And yeah, it's been crazy. But the one thing that he's been saying is that one time that he fought Stipe Miocic, we've heard this story before, that, Francis Ngannou said that he was going to win. Francis Ngannou said that, he wants to be booked a private jet to France, just all this other craziness. And that he should have gotten a $50,000 bonus in one of his other fights after that fight took place. And he actually put hands on Dana White. Grabbed him, put him back in the office. Dana White said, "Take your hands off me," or "Take your hands the fuck off me." Whatever words he did use at that time, we do not know. But nonetheless, that's what ended up taking place. What do we think to that? Well, again, there's Francis' side of the story, which we haven't heard yet. There's Dana White's side of the story, which we have heard. And then there's the truth. So we do not know what exactly did take place. Now, do we think Francis Ngannou is a good guy? I believe so. When it comes to people saying that someone is a bad person, it takes more than one person to say he's a bad person. When you hear like 5, 10 people, all that are not friends, all different strangers, all different business people around the campfire, or whatever phrase you want to use or term you want to use, around the world, that says Francis Ngannou is a bad person, then okay, maybe he's a bad person. Maybe there's something to that. When you don't have friends all ganging up and like, yep, he's a bad guy. When you have a bunch of strangers pretty much saying, yep, every time I went up to him or talked to him, he was a bad guy. So, but you don't really hear that too much. Maybe a small amount of people may have said that, but you don't really hear that. That's one. Two, we're hearing this from Dana White. Now, we know the history between him and Francis Ngannou. Between him and Francis is like, we all know, Francis Ngannou was the champion of the world. He beat Stipe Miocic, and Dana White was singing his praises. There was all that talks about how John Jones wanted to come up to heavyweight before John Jones was a heavyweight champion of the world. And Dana White said he better not do it. He better not do it because he'll get smashed. Well, that tune changed real quick after they had their falling out between Francis and Dana. When Francis wanted to go box and Dana would not let him. When Francis wanted a little bit higher, more money. We got to remember, when Francis Ngannou fought Ciryl Gane, he made $600,000 as the heavyweight champion of the world because of his contract. Now, of course, we could say after the fact that he would have made a lot more money in the UFC, but that we do not know. That's just all hearsay because it did not happen. But he did make a lot more money doing what he actually wanted to do, which is box. He boxed Tyson Fury. He knocked Tyson Fury down. It did really, really good. He got knocked out by Anthony Joshua. Okay, no problem. And I think what also Dana White hates is the fact that he pretty much won. It's one thing to be like, hey, I don't need you. All right, go ahead, do your own thing because you ain't going to succeed, or you ain't going to make as much money as you would here, or you're going to drift off or die down. Your popularity is going to die down, or whatever the case may be. There's all those things that could potentially happen. But none of that did happen to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou pretty much maintained his popularity, maintained being the fact that everybody wants to still see him, maintained that people want him back in the UFC and want to see him fight against John Jones or Alex Pereira or even now Tom Aspinall. Everybody wants to see this guy. So the fact that he's made all this money, the fact that he's still popular, the fact that he's still relevant, maybe rubs Dana White the wrong way, and that's why we continue hearing him belittle him or trash talk him and try to put him down. And also, you got to remember, Dana White is a businessman. Dana White will do whatever it takes to pay you less in most cases. Not all cases, like we've seen what he wants to do with John Jones. He wants to give him that $30 million. But if he's not a big fan of yours, of course, what he's going to do is maybe corner the market, where he's going to make it known that Francis Ngannou isn't the best person in the world to deal with. I mean, of course, there's all that stuff that's going on with PFL. You know, there's been a lot of rumors and a lot of things that's been happening in speculations with Francis Ngannou not fighting and not living up to his end of the contract and all this other business that's been transacting over there. But still, nonetheless, maybe that's what Dana White wants to do. Make it known that Francis Ngannou is a bad person. Make it Francis Ngannou is not a good business person. And that when he does have no other options but to go to the UFC, he doesn't get signed to this large amount of contract like he originally wanted to. When you go and you leave a company saying you're going to make more, but then you don't make more and you come back, they ain't going to pay you what they originally were going to pay you. They're going to pay you less because you now devalue. They think you devalue yourself, that you're no longer as popular, that you're no longer as a must-see TV, that you're no longer anything like to that effect. So why would I want to give you all that money that you won't try to search for, but you didn't get? Well, Francis Ngannou did get that money. Francis Ngannou is worth a lot of money. Francis Ngannou is very popular. So, of course, what are you going to do? You're going to do your absolute best to make sure you don't give him that. Because Dana White is a prideful person. Now, again, before I say this, I'm not saying whatever happened in that office between him and Francis did not happen or it did happen. But what I'm saying is the facts. Francis Ngannou, we don't know 100% that he's a bad person. We know that he has a reputation of being a good person. And then we also know that Dana White is also a prideful person and can hold on to grudges. And he is also a good man too. I'm sure he's helped out a lot of people, a lot of families and whatnot, 100%. But we also know he has a different side to him that can, you know, hold on to that grudge, that can make things a little bit more than what it is, that can actually even lie about your career. Like when people leave the UFC, they'll talk, oh, we cut him. Well, in reality, they just couldn't come to agreements. They couldn't come to terms. Or they didn't have proper negotiations. Or there's just so much other things that could happen. But of course, when it comes to Dana White, he can easily just say, we cut him. He was this, he was that, he was this, when that might not be the case. We're hearing it from just one side. But now as far as what I'm talking about with Francis, he knows he needs Francis. He knows it because what other excitement do you have in the heavyweight division outside of Francis besides Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira, and John Jones? Now, yeah, those three can go face each other and you could possibly get 1, 2, 3 fights out of all those fights and it could make some really good business, or it could be dud and there's nothing there because you really do not have anybody else. You have a light heavyweight that wants to go up to heavyweight, very exciting. Tom Aspinall, very exciting. And John Jones, who is in and out half the time. You need somebody like a Francis who can go in there and make fun fights as well. There's a lot of fun fights we can see him have, but we just don't get those because Dana White just refuses to do those businesses at this moment. And I hope one day this could all end, and I hope one day he can actually make this happen. That's my personal opinion, guys. I would really love to know your opinion regarding everything that's been transpiring with this whole Francis Ngannou and Dana White situation. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.